Oh, guys, these are countries that are more developed than you think. So people really think that the developed world is basically just is Western Europe, East Asia, and North America. Well, that's not exactly the developed world. There are many more countries that are considered developed world that are not in those areas. Yes. And here's about developed countries that you may have never known about. Here. So, number one is I'm not gonna put Singapore because everybody knows Singapore. But the first country is the United Arab Emirates. United Arab Emirates is where Dubai is. United Arab Emirates is now more developed than countries like Greece, Cyprus, Lithuania, and Poland, whereas are often considered developed countries with the exception of Poland for some reason. United Arab Emirates actually the one country that scores the highest on this list. Oh, I also forgot about Australia and New Zealand. They're also on the most developed countries list as well. But there. But this country is one of the most developed countries in the world. World. It is now 30 now it is at 31 on the most developed country in the world. It is more developed than countries that are considered developed countries like Greece and Cyprus on the Human Development Index. The next country you would think that is not and all countries above 0.800 are considered quote unquote developed countries. Please. The next place that you'll not think of is Aruba. Aruba is a small island in South America. Go. Go. It is a country within the Kingdom of Netherlands. Technically not a country itself, it is considered one of the most developed countries in the world. If Aruba was its very own country, Aruba would be more developed than France and Spain, and below South Korea and Luxembourg in terms of development. The next country on the list you'll not think is developed is Saudi Arabia. No, is Saudi Arabia and Bahrain. Really, just the Gulf states in general. So Saudi Arabia, Bahrain, Kuwait, and United Arab Emirates, which Kuwait I don't think is very low on this list. All of these countries are considered developed countries according to HDI. Saudi Arabia is not as high as Arab Emirates, as Saudi Arabia's economy solely relies on oil, same thing of Bahrain and Qatar, mostly rely on one source, which is why they don't make the criteria for a developed country, because developed countries usually have diversified economies. But these countries are relatively rich, developed, and of course, most of the people are not really in poverty. The next country you will not really think is developed is Chile and Argentina. Most people typically associate South America with poverty, but Chile, Argentina, and Uruguay, which is lower on the list, are considered the highest developed countries in South America, especially Uruguay. Uruguay is considered the richest and most developed country in South America. Go. Next country is Peru. Peru is a country in the Pacific Ocean. The places in the Pacific Ocean are usually considered very poor and with a lot of poverty. But Peru apparently is one of the most developed countries in the world. Next is Kazakhstan. I think Kazakhstan is on this list because of its oil economy and its close proximity to the next country, to the country below it, Russia. Which Russia, of course, and many Eastern European countries are also on this list. Next is Panama. Panama is most people usually typically associate Latin America, like I mentioned, with Argentina and those other countries with poverty. But Panama is currently the 57th most developed country in the world, which is actually higher than Costa Rica, which is often considered the most developed country in Latin America. But Panama does have a very important thing called the Panama Canal. So it's no surprise that Panama is now higher than Costa Rica. The last country we're going over is Malaysia. Malaysia's development is not as high as its neighbor Singapore, but it's still on the list and it's still going up basically a lot. The last country is Mauritius. Mauritius, or how you want to pronounce it, is considered the most developed country in all of Africa. Yep, Africa has one country in the very high development list, and that is Mauritius, which is basically an island in the Indian Ocean, but they still consider it a part of Africa because it's closer to Africa than it is in Asia. And of course, we have the least developed countries in the world, which are all no surprise in Africa, with countries like Niger, Central African Republic, Chad, South Sudan, Mali, Burundi, Sierra Leone, Burkina Faso, Mozambique, Eritrea, and Yemen be the only country not in Africa on this list. Surprisingly, Haiti is not on the lower part of the list, considering that Haiti basically is like that. Gets all the bad luck in the world of a country. But there we go. That's basically it about this list here. And yeah. These are the most and least developed countries in the entire world. So the places that are and the highest HDI growths are experiencing in Asia and Africa. South America isn't really having that high of a growth anymore. But countries like India and Bangladesh are seeing massive growths in Human Development Index. And Turkey as well. Well, a lot of countries like Botswana, and of course, let's not forget Morocco and other countries here. And a lot of countries further down the list, like India and stuff, are having massive turns in Human Development Index. So a lot of the more poor countries are having massive increases in the Human Development Index. Even the poorest country, Niger, it had a 1.95% increase. We compare this to the most developed countries, they're not really having that big of an increase in Human Development Index. And as you talk about the United Arab Emirates, which is having a much higher Human Development Index than most developed countries. But yep, that's basically it about this video. Goodbye.